Thank you very much for coming, and I am very happy to see you here. As I promised today, we are going to talk about being a victim. It is a very complex and quite difficult subject to talk about. However, I think it is important to talk about because many ways it is misunderstood, and there are many misconceptions about the expression being a victim. One thing we need to agree upon, and this one thing is that whatever the background is, there is always a force behind the event. It might not be an organic force. Actually, it's always an organic force, but then we have to really sort of open our mind up when we talk about organic forces, and not only thinking about earthlings or some kind of sort of living creature as such, but anything else, as we are all energies, and energies are living forces. It means that everything, whatever happens to us, goes through this energy force business. So there is always a force behind it. There could be sort of groups or aspects of being a victim, if we wanted to sort of sort them out. One of them is when you think that you have a fate, and your fate is that you are a victim. Unfortunately, there are many sort of theories about humanity that actually put humanity into 4 boxes, this and that and that and this. I have no idea what they are, because there are many boxes here, but usually every human being who talks about those boxes talk about the 4 compartments as such. And according to these compartments, you are born to be a victim, you are born to be a leader, you are born to be a God knows what, and what kind of archetypes are you are being as such and following. I would not pay any attention to that. Can you imagine that the whole humanity belong to 4 types and they never change? I mean, we are here on earth to change, actually, to learn, to become more, and of course, to gain the knowledge that is in our subconscious. So don't pay much attention to that. Nobody is born to be a victim. It's not possible. Of course, I know that there are religious inclinations behind the scene, especially that of Christianity, being Jesus the victim of, or the sacrifice actually, but then again, the victim of all the sacrificing whatever was going on. And that is very important to understand. You can actually be the victim of following your ancestors' footsteps. It only happens if you are not broad-minded enough to see life in a different structure, and you see it through your mother and father's eyes, rather than making up your own mind and creating your own idea of the world as such. But that is not possible either. You are not responsible for your mother and father. We are genetically inheriting certain things, but the genetical inheritance actually works with the body. So we inherit the form and shape of our body, sometimes some illnesses also, of course, but we don't really inherit them, but incline to have them. And that is also very different. But apart from that, their behavior pattern and their relation to the universe and to other people, you cannot possibly inherit. Unless, of course, that it is closed into their own body too much or very deeply. So then the flesh carries it over. But you can always get out of it. Sometimes people call it a code. You can get rid of the code if you wanted to. So that is something, again, you need to understand. We also talk about being a victim as a karmic inheritance. A karmic inheritance never comes from your ancestors as such. It comes from your soul, your previous lives on earth, if you had any, or if you haven't had any, because most people nowadays are newcomers, then you build or you could build up some kind of karma during this time, during this lifetime you are with us or on earth. And that is something you really need to live through. That is for sure. But it is not fate. It is your karma. You can lose it when you experience and when you learn from it. Because the idea of karma is that you need to learn from the experience. It is there because you haven't actually gone through that test. You know, when you take an exam, there are, let's say, 6 questions. You cannot jump to the 4th from the 3rd if you cannot solve the 3rd, because it's not possible. So that's what it is all about. Fate as such cannot make you a victim. You cannot say that you are born a victim or you have bad luck and you are always a victim. Well, you can believe in that, and if you believe in that and your belief is strong enough, then you might become a victim, and it will be your habitual state of existence rather than actually taking care of yourself, taking responsibility in life, and standing up for yourself. That's fate. Apart from that, we talk about victims of being a victim of other people's willpower. That's the most usual way of actually talking about the victims. Yes, but why do you let other people tell you what to do? Or if you don't want to take responsibility or make choices for yourself, because you might not. I mean, there are many, many people who don't want to do that. They give the opportunity and the power to others to do that for them. But if you don't stand up for yourself, then why do you think you are a victim? It is your choice to give yourself up. It is your choice to give your life up, actually. That's very exciting to talk about, because the 90% of the population on the northern hemisphere belong to this category. Nobody wants to take responsibility. We are just blaming everybody on everything and about everything, but we give them the power to act on behalf and in behalf of us. So we have to think about that. Then, of course, there are other categories as victims. Sometimes you become, or somebody becomes the victim of assault or an accident or somebody else's behavior pattern. We can say that we might be at the wrong place at the wrong time. But then again, you see, it's very complex, because we're always there where we have to be at every given moment. And this moment is created in the past, and sometimes it goes back quite a while, and it is created this particular moment when we need to experience something, or we just experience something. I would say that it is really our lack of understanding life rather than anything else. However, sometimes the universe kicks us and says, okay, I am really fed up with you. You have to do something in your life. You have to understand how to live it. You really have to stand up, and you really need to create aims in your life and experience and open your comfort zone and whatever it is. So it could be, and then you are kicked. You might say, okay, I am a victim of being kicked by somebody or something. But actually you are just there because people understand physical pain more than anything else. People are capable of taking emotional pain quite easily, but physical pain is different. So that is why we are kicked from time to time, because that's what we understand. And that is another type of victim, or being a victim. And then, of course, there are people who would say, okay, I've been lived on, I've been tortured, I've been treated badly, poor me. Everybody should um, really love me and feel sorry for me. Somehow the two of them are coming together, being loved and feeling sorry for you. Nobody really understands why, but that comes together. I mean, I actually can tell you why it comes together. Because yearning for love and wanting love and recognition all the time means that you are insecure. And when you are insecure, you need attention. And when you need attention, you might not make any differences between the type of attention you want. So being sorry is quite an attention, and you take it as such. Because somehow humanity likes or feels for people who are disadvantaged, who are disabled, and who are poorer than we are. And that's what it is. But at the end of the road, it is not very good. Because if somebody feels sorry for you, it really means that something is missing from you. And you have to really gain your own recognition for yourself to be able to take part in life and get on with it very nicely. And then, of course, there are victims of the past as such. We come back to certain events in the past and we say, oh, but I was the victim of not understanding, or I was the victim of this person, or I was the victim of my choices, or I was the victim of whatever. I am saying it is coming back to the past or going back to the past, mostly because when we are at the event itself, we don't recognize that we are victims. We might even love the event, and we might even think it is the best event in our lives. It usually happens in relationships. Especially at the beginning, we are so taken aback by the other person. But of course, we are not taken aback by the other person. We are just taken aback because we are ready for a relationship and we take anything that comes. It's not the other person, but actually the idea of a relationship, or the idea of being together, and the togetherness is the powerful one. And obviously we cannot see the future. Well, we could if we wanted to, but we don't want to. And that is why people are saying that love is blind. Love is blind. No, love is not blind. We are blind because we cannot see beyond our desire to have somebody around and have a relationship as such, or just want to have the feeling of love. That's something interesting because I used to do that. I was always in love with somebody. Might not be in a relationship with the person. And I didn't even want to be in a relationship with a person, but I love the feeling of being in love. So that was it. That is something else when it comes to being a victim. We usually sort of chain it up with another expression, and that is sacrifice. Sacrifice is a bit different from the victim, of course. The victim is always showing a lack of something within us, even if we don't know it. We lack the knowledge, we lack the understanding, we lack the possibilities of seeing or, excuse me, realizing or understanding. But sacrifice is something that comes from religions, primarily, because in religious rituals, there were sacrifices, animals and even human beings, as we know. Some of these, the animals obviously never wanted to be sacrificed, so they were not willing. It's not a willpower took them to there to be sacrificed, but human beings, some human beings wanted to. So it was a willpower to be the actual subject of slaughtering. Like if you go back to the Mayas and the Aztecs, well, people of Mexico are saying that the Mayas and the Aztecs are two different types of people. I beg to differ though, because they do the same thing in every way whatsoever. And of course, the Mayas used to sacrifice people, and the Aztecs also. And people were actually competing for the position to be sacrificed. So that was the willpower, and it was a big honor. But I mean, the animals, obviously, I am absolutely certain, well, I am certain because they don't think, so obviously they cannot really have a choice. They are not willingly adding to this ritual as such. Excuse me. However, there are other kinds of sacrifices. When we are in a relationship or family, we are talking about things like, oh, my mother sacrificed herself for me. I don't really like this idea, because sacrifice always means that I give up something that was very dear to me. So I have done it, I gave it up. I cannot say that I gave it up for the other person, that the other person should gain more in life. I gave it up because I haven't had the courage to go through my dream, or I didn't believe in it enough to actually start it up, or I wanted some kind of recognition. As far as I am concerned, a mother has a child, and it is her responsibility to bring the child up. And if it means that you have to go to work in 3 shifts, then you go to work in 3 shifts. So I cannot really see the sacrifice in it, because it is a responsibility. So it should be done willingly. However, if it is not done willingly, but because the mother has the conscience and saying, okay, I do that for my child, but what a pity, because I could have done it something else for myself. Yeah, it can happen. That is sacrifice. But parents, they should do. I wouldn't say sacrifice, but parents should really look after their children. That's it. Also, there are many people who are saying it, like many parents are saying it. Okay, I sacrifice myself for you, and what are you doing? And you are not grateful for anything I've done. Or it can happen in relationships also. If any of the persons involved would say that in a relationship, I think that it's time to break this relationship, because that is not healthy in any way whatsoever. But it is not healthy in a family either. So you cannot say about your parents or your children or whatever, because it means that you haven't done it willingly. You had a bad feeling about it. And of course, there are many people who want to show that they've given up a lot, because they actually hang on to the dream they given up as something very powerful, and as if they actually done the dream. Like, okay, I couldn't be a singer because I sacrificed myself for my daughter. I don't have a daughter, and I was a singer, so it's not a true story as such. But it was my choice to have a daughter. And I could have been a singer also and have a daughter. But if I am saying it to my daughter, it really means that I didn't have the willpower to actually become a singer. And I want my daughter to feel guilty about it. So it is always very good to actually gain some attention and some guilt from all over the place. Very interesting. If you think that you are a victim of your choices, victim of other people, or anything as such, because it could happen that it is your usual behavior, then think about it. What is the field where you actually fall victim to other people, and why? Figure out what is the lack of your knowledge there, what is your flow there, and work on this flow, because that's the point. You are going to be a victim as long as you don't learn how not to be one, and how to rise above everything. But you can do it. Or if you are not strong enough, because that could be very well the case, and you don't want to make choices, and you don't want to take responsibility for your own life. It could be, but then don't complain and don't say that you are a victim, because you are not. You've given it up. You gave your life up. So you actually are a victim of your own lack of respect for yourself and life and learning and knowledge and anything else. So it comes back to you. Well, I don't know if you learned something from it, what I was telling you today. I am sure few key words entered your mind, hopefully, anyway. I am going to come back to you next week. And don't ever forget that we are going to have the summit in February, the 22nd to the 24th of February, all about the mystical tools of humanity. Excellent summit with all the knowledge human beings are capable of doing. So you are all invited, of course. Most of the things are free, so you will be very well looked after. And if you are interested, my book just came out yesterday. So check it out, called Siblings. That's something interesting. It is about multidimensional living and how we are all siblings, actually. It's not an autobiography as such. So take good care of yourselves, guys, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.